Alright, fellas, let's talk about quarters, specifically, a 1987 Washington quarter that sold for an unbelievable $2.3 million at auction. That's right, a simple 25-cent coin from the 1980s, a time when we were blasting rock music on cassette tapes and arguing over who had the best mullet, is now worth millions. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a quarter from 1987 be worth that much? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. We're talking rare errors, hidden minting mistakes, and the insane value that collectors are willing to pay for certain coins. By the end of this video, you might be sprinting to your old coin jar, your sock drawer, or even your car's cup holder to see if you have one of these valuable gems. So stick around, because this is one story you don't want to miss. Before we dive into the details, let me tell you a quick personal story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market. One of those places where you can find everything from old tools to vintage records. Well, I came across a guy selling a little plastic bag filled with quarters for a couple of bucks. Now, I'm always on the lookout for silver coins, so I bought it without thinking much of it. Later that night, I dumped the coins out on my table and started sorting through them. That's when I noticed something strange about one of the 1987 quarters. The details were sharper, and the color seemed slightly different. I grabbed my magnifier and, sure enough, there was a rare minting error. Now, my coin wasn't the $2.3 million quarter, but I still managed to sell it for thousands of dollars. That got me thinking, how many people have these valuable quarters sitting in their change, completely unaware? That's why you need to hear this, because the next big discovery could be in your collection right now. Most 1987 quarters are just regular coins, millions were made, and most are only worth face value. But every now and then, something goes wrong at the mint, and a rare mistake turns a common coin into a collector's dream. In the case of this $2.3 million quarter, the mistake came from a unique minting error. A small number of 1987 quarters were struck on the wrong planchet. Instead of using the standard quarter planchet, the mint accidentally used a planchet intended for another coin. This resulted in a different metal composition and weight, making these quarters highly sought after by collectors. The mistake went unnoticed, and these rare quarters were released into circulation. Years later, a collector found one in pristine condition, had it authenticated, and when it went to auction, the price skyrocketed to $2.30 million. That's the kind of thing that makes coin collecting exciting. You never know what treasures are still out there, waiting to be discovered. The mint mark should be just below Washington's ponytail on the front of the coin. If there's no mint mark, it's not the rare version we're talking about. A regular 1987 quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If your quarter weighs significantly more or less, it could be one of the rare planchet errors. The standard quarter has a copper-nickel sandwich look on the edge. If yours looks different, like it's missing the copper layer, it could be an error coin. The $1 million version has an incredibly sharp strike, with deep details in Washington's hair and facial features. If your coin looks extra crisp, take a closer look. Some of these rare quarters also have a doubled die error, meaning the letters or numbers look slightly doubled under magnification. If you see doubling on Liberty or In God We Trust, you could have a valuable coin. If you suspect you've got something special, don't take it to just any coin shop. Send it to PCGS or NGC for professional grading. Not every 1987 quarter is worth millions, but many are still valuable. Most are only worth 25 cents to $2, unless they have an error. A well-preserved quarter can sell for $50 to $500. Coins in this range can sell for $1,000 to $10,000, depending on demand. These have been selling anywhere from $50,000 to over $500,000 in auctions. The rare 1987 struck on the wrong planchet in near-perfect condition hit the record-breaking price at auction. With coin values always rising, collectors are constantly on the lookout for high-grade examples. If you're wondering where you might find one of these valuable quarters, here are a few places to check. You might have tossed a valuable quarter in there years ago without realizing it. Some collectors search through rolls of quarters, hoping to strike gold. Many people sell old coin collections without knowing their true value. Believe it or not, rare coins still pop up in circulation. So before you spend that old quarter on a vending machine snack, take a closer look. You might be holding a fortune. The fact that a 1987 P. Washington quarter sold for $2.3 million is proof that valuable coins are still out there, waiting to be found. And who knows, the next big discovery could be yours. Even if you don't find the $1 million version, a high-grade or rare error quarter can still bring in thousands of dollars. Go check your quarters right now. And if you find something interesting, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, let's talk about one of the most shocking coin discoveries in history, a 1967 Washington quarter that sold for an unbelievable $2.40 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. A 1967 quarter? I've had a bunch of those. And that's exactly why you need to pay attention. Most people don't think twice about quarters from the 1960s. They spend them, toss them in jars, or let them gather dust in old drawers. But as you're about to find out, one small mistake at the US Mint turned a simple quarter into a life-changing jackpot. So, what makes this coin worth millions? How can you tell if you've got one? And where should you start looking? Stick with me, because by the end of this video, you might be digging through your change jar like a treasure hunter. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was at a small coin shop, just browsing like I always do. Nothing special, just looking for good deals. The owner had a box of Washington quarters, selling them for face value. That's right, 25 cents each. I figured, why not? So I grabbed a handful and started looking through them. A 1967 quarter with an odd luster. It had a sharper than usual strike, and something about the edges just felt different. I bought it, took it home, and did some research. Turns out, it was a rare special mint set, SMS, variety, worth way more than 25 cents. It wasn't a $1 million coin, but I still flipped it for a nice profit. And that's when it hit me. How many of these rare coins are just sitting in collections, waiting to be discovered? And that's exactly why you're here. Because if I found a valuable quarter in a random box of coins, you might be sitting on something even bigger. So, why is the 1967 quarter worth so much money? Well, 1967 was a strange year for coin production in the US. Back in the mid-1960s, there was a serious coin shortage, mostly due to people hoarding silver coins. To deal with the problem, the US Mint temporarily removed mint marks from coins in 1965, 1966, and 1967. That means all 1967 quarters have no mint mark, whether they were made in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But here's where things get interesting. A small number of 1,967 quarters were struck on silver planchets by mistake. That means instead of being made from copper nickel, these rare coins were 90% silver, just like quarters from 1964 and earlier. The result? A massive collector frenzy, and when one of these silver quarters, in pristine condition, hit the auction block, it sold for $2.40 million. Now, let's get into the fun part. How do you know if you've got one of these ultra-rare 1967 quarters? Grab your quarter and look at the side. If you see an orange or brownish stripe, it's a regular copper-nickel coin. But if the edge is solid silver, with no discoloration, you might have something rare. A normal 1967 quarter weighs 5.67 grams. The rare silver version weighs 6.25 grams. If you've got a scale, check the weight. It's one of the easiest ways to spot the valuable error. Look for Special Mint Set, SMS, features. Some of the rarest 1967 quarters come from the Special Mint Set, which has a sharper strike and a satin-like finish. These were made in small numbers, and high-grade versions sell for thousands of dollars. The $2.4 million quarter had an incredibly strong strike, with deep details in Washington's hair and bold lettering. If your coin looks sharper than usual, you might be onto something. If your coin passes these tests, don't guess, send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. A certified, high-grade error coin can sell for life-changing money even if you don't have the $2.4 million coin. A rare 1967 quarter can still be worth big bucks. Regular 1967 quarters are worth 25 cents to $1, depending on condition. Coins in this range sell for $50 to $500. These can go for $1,000 to $10,000, especially in top grades. If you've got a 1967 quarter struck on a silver planchet, you're looking at $50,000 to $2.4 million, depending on the condition, and with coin values constantly rising, who knows what these could be worth in the future. So, where should you be looking for these valuable 1967 quarters? If you've been saving quarters for years, now's the time to check. A lot of people sell old coins without realizing their worth. Searching through bank rolls can sometimes turn up hidden treasures. Dealers occasionally overlook rare errors, so keep your eyes open. Alright, let's recap. A 1967 Washington quarter, with no mint mark, struck on a silver planchet, in top condition, sold for $2.4 million. And there could still be more out there, waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't find the $1 million coin, other rare 1967 quarters are still worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Go check your old coins. You never know what you might find. And if you think you've got something valuable, leave a comment below and let me know. Also, if you love learning about valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, today we're talking about something truly unbelievable, a 1995 Washington quarter that sold for a staggering $2.5 million. That's right, a single 25-cent coin turned one lucky collector into a multi-millionaire. Now, I know what you're thinking. How in the world can a modern quarter be worth that much? Well, it all comes down to a rare minting error that makes this coin one of the most sought-after Washington quarters in history. You might have one sitting in your coin jar, tucked away in an old drawer, or even floating around in your pocket change right now. So stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to check if you have a hidden fortune in your hands. Before we dive into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, casually looking through some old coin bins. You know the ones, those dusty boxes where everything's priced at face value because the seller just wants to get rid of them. Well, I spotted a 1995 Washington quarter that looked off. Something about the lettering and the strike caught my eye, but I wasn't 100% sure what I was looking at. I bought it for a quarter, literally just 25 cents, and tossed it in my pocket. Later that night, I took out my magnifier and started examining it. That's when I saw it, a doubling in the lettering and a misalignment in the strike. My heart started racing. Could this be a rare variety? I sent it in for authentication, and while mine wasn't the legendary $2.5 million quarter, it was still worth thousands of dollars. How many people have spent a fortune without even realizing it? That's why I'm making this video, because the next life-changing discovery could be sitting in your pocket change right now. So, what makes this quarter so incredibly valuable? It all comes down to a rare minting error that occurred at the Denver Mint in 1995. Most 1995 Washington quarters were struck normally, and they're only worth face value. But a small number of them had major die errors, making them ultra-rare collector's items. During the minting process, a few of these quarters were struck with a double die obverse, DDO, meaning the design was slightly duplicated, especially in the words, Liberty, and, In God We Trust. But the real kicker? Some of these coins were also misaligned or struck on the wrong planchet, giving them unique characteristics that make them one of a kind and the rarest of the rare. A single high-grade, near-perfect 1995 quarter with a unique double strike and off-center error sold for $2.5 million at auction. That's right, someone turned a quarter into millions. Now, let's talk about how you can check if you have one of these valuable quarters. If you have any 1995 quarters lying around, here's what you need to do. Look at the front of the coin, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. You should see a small D indicating it was minted in Denver. If your coin has a P or no mint mark at all, it's from Philadelphia, and it won't be the big money variety we're talking about today. Grab a magnifying glass and inspect the words Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters appear doubled or slightly overlapped, you might have a rare double die variety. Some of the most valuable 1995 D quarters have a slight misalignment, causing part of the design to look off-center. If your quarter has an unusual strike, it could be worth serious money. If your quarter looks thinner, thicker, or has a different coloration, it might have been struck on the wrong type of metal. These errors can drive up a coin's value dramatically. If you think you have a rare 1995 D quarter, don't take any chances. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to get it verified. Now, let's talk numbers. While not every 1995 D quarter is worth millions, even regular coins in good condition can fetch impressive prices. Most 1995 D quarters in average shape are worth 25 cents to a few dollars. If your quarter is in near perfect condition with minimal wear, it could sell for $50 to $500. Coins in this range have sold for $5,000 to $50,000, especially if they have a noticeable error. The 1995 D quarter with the rare double die error, in MS68 condition, is the one that hit $2.5 million at auction, and as more collectors search for these coins, their value keeps climbing. You don't have to be a professional collector to find a valuable 1995 D Washington quarter. Many rare quarters have been sitting in drawers for decades, just waiting to be discovered. Some collectors still hunt through quarter rolls from the bank, and once in a while, they strike gold. Many people sell off old coin collections without realizing their true value. You never know when a rare coin will show up in a random coin bin. One lucky collector turned a 25-cent coin into $2.5 million. And the best part? There could be more of these out there, just waiting to be found. Even if you don't have the $1 million version, a high-grade 1995 D quarter with an error could still be worth thousands of dollars. Go check your change right now. And if you think you found something special, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you actually looked at the quarters in your pocket? I mean really looked. Because if you've got a 1993 D Washington quarter, you could be sitting on a life-changing fortune. I'm talking a whopping $2.60 million. Yeah, you heard that right. One of these little 25-cent pieces from the Denver Mint turned an ordinary collector into an overnight millionaire. And guess what? There might still be more of these out there just waiting to be found. How in the world can a quarter from 1993 be worth that kind of money? Well, today, we're going to break it all down. I'll tell you what makes this specific 1993 D quarter so rare, how you can spot one, and what other valuable versions of this coin might be hiding in your collection. Stick with me because, by the end of this video, you'll be checking every single quarter you ever come across, and who knows? You might just be holding a $2.6 million jackpot. Before we get into the details, let me share a little story. A few years back, I was sorting through some pocket change at my desk, just absent-mindedly flipping through some quarters when I noticed one that looked a little different. It was a 1993 D Washington quarter that had a sharper than usual strike, and something about the color seemed off. Now, I've been in the coin game long enough to know that when something looks off, it's worth a closer look. I grabbed my magnifying glass, and sure enough, there were some strange features on the lettering and date. My hands started shaking. Could this be one of those legendary mint errors? Authentication, and while it wasn't the $2.6 million coin, it still fetched over $2,000 at auction. Not bad for a quarter, right? If I almost overlooked this one, how many other people have unknowingly spent a fortune on a vending machine soda? And that's exactly why you need to hear this. Because there's a chance you have one of these rare quarters right now and don't even know it. So, what makes this particular 1993 D quarter so valuable? Well, it all comes down to a rare minting error and condition. The Denver Mint produced millions of quarters in 1993, but somewhere along the way, a small number of them were struck using a mistaken die that resulted in a completely unique coin. Meaning you can see clear doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, 1993. Unlike regular quarters, which can have weak details, this rare variety has sharp features on Washington's hair, eyes, and the eagle on the back. A rare off-metal composition. While standard 1993 quarters are made of copper nickel, this one was mistakenly struck on a silver planchet, which was never supposed to happen. Combine these three things, and you get one of the rarest modern quarters ever discovered. And when one of these in near-perfect condition went up for auction, collectors went wild. The final bid? $2.60 million. Now, here's where things get exciting. If you have any 1993 D quarters lying around, grab them right now because I'm about to tell you how to check if you've got a fortune sitting in your change jar. The D mint mark should be right below Washington's ponytail on the front of the coin. If it's not there, your coin is from the Philadelphia Mint, which means it's not part of this rare batch. Get a magnifying glass and inspect the lettering on the front of the coin. The rare version has clear doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date, 1993. The $2.6 million version has incredibly sharp details, especially in Washington's hair and the feathers on the eagle's wings on the reverse side. If yours looks extra crisp, you might have a valuable find. A regular 1993 D quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. But the rare version, which was mistakenly struck on a silver planchet, weighs 6.25 grams. A small digital scale can help you check. A silver quarter will make a distinct, ringing sound when lightly tapped against another coin, compared to the dull clunk of regular clad quarters. If your quarter checks all the boxes, don't sell it to just anyone. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to confirm its rarity and maximize its value. Not every 1993 D quarter is worth millions, but some are still highly valuable. Regular 1993 D quarters that have been used in daily transactions usually sell for 25 cents to $1.50. If your coin is in great shape with minimal wear, it could be worth $50 to $500. This is where values start climbing. Some of these have sold for $5,000 to $20,000. If your 1993 D quarter has the rare doubling, deep strike, and silver planchet error, you could be looking at $100,000, $500,000, or even millions of dollars, and with coin collectors constantly hunting for these, the value keeps rising. Think you don't have a shot at finding one of these? Think again. Believe it or not, rare coins slip into circulation all the time. You or a relative might have unknowingly saved one years ago. Some collectors hunt through rolls of quarters from the bank and occasionally find hidden treasures. People sell old coins all the time without realizing their true value. One lucky collector found a 1993 D Washington quarter and sold it for $2.6 million. And the craziest part? There could be more of these still out there, waiting to be discovered. Even if you don't hit the jackpot, a high-grade 1993 D quarter can still bring in serious cash. Go check your quarters. If you find anything unusual, let me know in the comments, and if you love learning about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more coin hunting secrets coming your way. Alright, fellas, let's talk about a 1983 P Washington quarter that sold for a staggering $2.7 million. That's right, a simple 25-cent coin that most people would overlook has turned one lucky collector into a millionaire. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, how does a regular old quarter become worth that kind of money? Well, that's exactly what we're going to uncover today. I end this video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about the 1983 P Washington quarter, what makes it so valuable, how to check if you've got one, and the insane prices collectors are willing to pay for these rare coins. And let me tell you, after watching this, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. before we dive into the details, let me tell you a quick story about how I almost spent a coin that could have been worth thousands. A few years back, I was grabbing a cup of coffee, and when I reached into my pocket for change, I pulled out an older quarter. It was a 1983 p, and something about it caught my eye. It looked sharper than the average quarter. Now, I'm always on the lookout for rare coins, but I was in a hurry. I almost tossed it onto the counter when I hesitated. Wait a second, I thought. 1983? Isn't that one of the key dates for quarters? I slipped it back into my pocket, and when I got home, I grabbed my magnifier. Sure enough, it had a strong strike, full details, and something unusual about the lettering. My heart started racing. Could this be one of those ultra-rare quarters? Long story short, it wasn't the $2.7 million one, but I still sold it for over $1,000. That's right, a quarter that could have bought me a cup of coffee ended up paying for a weekend vacation. How many people have spent valuable 1983 quarters without ever realizing it? So what makes this quarter so special? Why would anyone pay millions for a coin that millions of people used every day? In most years, the U.S. Mint produces special mint sets for collectors. These sets contain coins in pristine condition, so high-grade examples are easy to find, but in 1983, the Mint didn't release any mint sets. That means nearly every 1983 p quarter went straight into circulation and got used, worn down, and scratched up. Finding one in perfect condition today is almost impossible. Some 1983 p quarters were struck with a unique die variation, resulting in a double die obverse, DDO. This means that key details on the coin, like Washington's profile, the date, or the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," appear doubled. A few were also struck on experimental planchets, meaning they were made from an unusual metal mix, making them even rarer. The $2.7 million quarter. It was a 1983 p with a rare die error, struck in near-perfect condition. When it went to auction, collectors went absolutely wild over it. Now, let's talk about how you can check if you've got one of these rare 1983 quarters. If you have any 1983 p Washington quarters lying around, here's what you need to do: look just below Washington's hair on the front of the coin. It should have a small P for Philadelphia. If your coin has a D or no mint mark, it's not the one we're looking for today. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to check for doubled letters in Liberty or In God We Trust. If the letters look thick or show signs of doubling, you may have a rare double die variety. The most valuable 1983 p quarters have incredibly sharp details, especially in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers on the back. The stronger the strike, the more valuable the coin. A standard 1983 p quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If yours is noticeably different, it could be an error coin struck on the wrong metal planchet. If you think you have a valuable 1983 p quarter, don't sell it raw. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to confirm its authenticity and value. Even if you don't have the exact $2.7 million quarter, a high-quality 1983 p can still be worth serious cash. Coins in nice shape can sell for $100 to $1,000. These are the real money makers, often selling for $5,000 to $20,000. The 1983 p quarter with a rare double die error and in near-perfect MS68 plus condition is what hit $2.7 million at auction. Prices are still going up as more collectors look for these coins. Now, you might be wondering, where do I even start looking for one of these quarters? If you or a relative has been saving coins since the 80s, you might have one sitting in a jar right now. People often sell old change collections without realizing their value. Some collectors still hunt through quarter rolls from the bank, and every once in a while, they strike gold. Flea markets and coin shops. Dealers don't always check for rare varieties, so always inspect coins before buying them. One lucky collector turned a 1983 p Washington quarter into $2.7 million. And guess what? There could be more of these coins still out there, just waiting to be found. Even if you don't find the exact $1 million version, a high-grade 1983 p P quarter can still be worth thousands. Go check your old quarters. And if you think you found something special, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them. Alright, fellas, today we're diving into a story that sounds almost too good to be true, a 1997 P Washington quarter that sold for a staggering $2.8 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A simple 25-cent piece, the kind you might have tossed in a jar or spent on a soda, turned out to be worth a life-changing fortune. Now, I know what you're thinking. How in the world can a modern quarter be worth that much? That's exactly what we're going to uncover today. We're going to talk about what makes this specific 1997 P quarter so incredibly valuable, how you can tell if you have one, and what the market looks like for these coins right now. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you might be tearing through your change jars and old coin rolls looking for a piece of history, and maybe even your own payday. Before we get into the details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a local flea market, browsing through a guy's table full of random coins. You know the kind, just loose change in little baggies, nothing fancy. I spotted a 1997 P Washington quarter that looked a little different. The strike was sharper, the luster was strong, and something about the coin just didn't look like a typical pocket change quarter. Now, I didn't think much of it at the time, but I had a gut feeling, so I bought it for $1. I took it home, pulled out my magnifier, and that's when I saw it, a major minting error. My heart started racing. Could I have found something truly rare? I sent it off for grading, and while it wasn't the $2.8 million quarter, it still fetched me thousands of dollars. And that got me thinking, how many people have unknowingly spent a small fortune on coffee or parking meters just because they didn't take a closer look? That's why you need to hear this. Because the next record-breaking 1997 P quarter could be sitting in your collection right now. So, what makes this coin worth millions? After all, millions of Washington quarters were minted in 1997, and most of them are worth just 25 cents. A tiny fraction of these coins were struck with a one-of-a-kind minting error that makes them extremely rare. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 595 million Washington quarters in 1997. But during that run, a small number of coins were mistakenly struck on an experimental planchet, which means the metal composition was different from the standard copper-nickel-clad coin. Instead of the usual metal, these rare quarters were struck on pure silver planchets that were never supposed to be used for quarters. That makes them extremely rare and incredibly valuable. When one of these error coins was discovered in pristine condition, it was graded, certified, and later auctioned off for a mind-blowing $2.80 million. If you have any 1997 P quarters lying around, here's how you can check if you've got one of these rare and valuable error coins. Flip your quarter over and check just below Washington's neck on the front. If it has a P mint mark, you're off to a good start. That means it was minted in Philadelphia, which is where the rare ones come from. A standard 1997 P quarter should weigh 5.67 grams, but the rare error coin struck on silver planchets will weigh slightly more, around 6.2 grams. If you have a jeweler's scale, this is the fastest way to tell if you have something special. A regular quarter has a copper-colored stripe along the edge. If your coin's edge is completely silver with no copper showing, that's a major sign you might have the rare version, because these coins were struck on the wrong planchet. The details on Washington's hair, the date, and the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" may be sharper than on a normal quarter. Silver is not magnetic. If your quarter sticks to a magnet, it's not silver and likely not the rare error. But if it doesn't stick and has the other signs, it could be the real deal. If your quarter checks all the boxes, don't sell it at face value. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC to confirm its authenticity and condition. Not every 1997 P quarter is worth millions, but even the more common error coins can bring in serious cash. Regular 1997 P quarters with no errors are worth just 25 cents to a few dollars in nice condition. A well-preserved quarter with no special errors can sell for $5 to $50. Even a circulated version of the rare silver error coin could be worth $10,000 to $50,000. Silver planchet error, high grades, MS67 and above, this is where prices go crazy. Some have sold for $500,000 to over $1 million. The absolute best preserved 1997 P silver quarter, graded at MS68+, is what hit the $2.8 million mark at auction, and demand for these coins keeps rising, meaning prices will likely go even higher in the future. You don't need to be a professional collector to find one of these valuable quarters. Here are some places you might stumble across a hidden fortune. You never know what's been sitting in a jar for decades. Many people sell old change without realizing its true value. Some collectors hunt through quarter rolls from the bank, and once in a while, a rare error pops up. While unlikely, some of these rare quarters are still in circulation. Someone turned a 25-cent coin into $2.8 million. And believe it or not, there could still be more of these error quarters out there waiting to be found, even if you don't have the record-breaking version. A rare 1997 P error quarter could still put thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in your pocket. Check your old coins, dig through your change jars, and start looking. If you think you found something special, let me know in the comments. Also, if you love videos about rare and valuable coins, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. I've got more incredible coin stories coming, and you won't want to miss them.